Good morning. Today, I want to remind you that God is a God of timing, a God who sees the bigger picture even when life feels stuck. There are seasons in life where things seem delayed, opportunities don't come, prayers seem unanswered, and doors remain closed. But I'm here to tell you today, the season of delay is coming to an end. God is about to shift things. What's been delayed is not denied. What's been postponed is not canceled. He is about to open doors, bring breakthroughs, and release blessings that have been held back. But to step into this new season, you must do three things. Trust God's timing. Position yourself in obedience and act in faith even when it feels impossible. The delay you've been experiencing is not punishment, it's preparation. God is refining your character, strengthening your faith, and aligning your path with His plan. The end of delay doesn't always mean instant results, but it does mean movement. Doors will open, opportunities will arise, and favor will chase you. Stay patient, stay faithful, and watch as God moves in ways you never imagined. You are not too late. Your breakthrough is not behind you. God is ending the season of delay in your life today. Step forward with confidence because your waiting season is over and your appointed time has come. Sometimes in life, it feels as though nothing is moving. You've prayed, you've planned, you've hoped, and yet the results you've been waiting for have not arrived. It's easy to feel overlooked, forgotten, or even rejected when life doesn't go the way you expected. You might be asking yourself, why am I still waiting? Have I missed my chance? Has God forgotten me? These are natural questions, but they are not the truth of your situation. Delays are not denials. Just because something hasn't happened yet does not mean God has said no. In fact, it often means that He is orchestrating a greater plan, one that you cannot see from your limited perspective. Think about the way God works in the natural world. Seeds do not sprout the moment they are planted. They take time to germinate, to push through the soil, and to grow roots deep enough to withstand storms. During that waiting period, it may look like nothing is happening. To the eye, it seems as though the seed is buried and forgotten. Yet beneath the surface, everything is in motion. God is at work in the unseen. In the same way, the delays in your life are not a sign that your prayers have gone unheard. They are seasons of hidden preparation where God is working behind the scenes to bring about the exact result that is best for you. The Bible is full of examples of people who experienced long seasons of delay. Abraham and Sarah waited decades for the promise of a child. Joseph spent years in prison before his purpose was revealed. David was anointed as king, but spent years as a shepherd and a fugitive before ascending the throne. In each of these cases, the delay was not denial. The promises were coming, but timing had to be perfect. God's timing is always intentional, and it is always for your ultimate good. The delay does not mean that God has changed His mind or that you are too late. It means that He is aligning circumstances, preparing hearts, and setting the stage for a powerful, lasting fulfillment. During seasons of delay, it is easy to become discouraged or to take matters into your own hands. You might be tempted to rush, to force outcomes, or to settle for something less than what God has promised. But when you understand that delays are not denials, you begin to see these moments as opportunities rather than obstacles. You begin to trust that God's timing is better than your timing. You learn patience, perseverance, and faith, qualities that are essential for the next season of your life. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. It means positioning yourself, preparing your heart, and refining your character for what is coming. It is also important to recognize that delays are often protective. Sometimes God says no or not yet. Because what you are asking for, if given prematurely, could harm you, distract you, or derail your purpose. When you trust that delays are not denials, you allow God to guard your future and ensure that the outcome is exactly what you need. Every day that seems wasted is actually a day of unseen preparation, a day that brings you closer to the fulfillment of your promise. Understanding this truth transforms your perspective. Instead of frustration, you begin to feel hope. Instead of impatience, you cultivate faith. Believing that delays are not denials also means refusing to let temporary circumstances define your future. Just because doors have been closed, opportunities postponed, or prayers seemingly unanswered does not mean your story is over. God is still writing your narrative, and He has the final say. You may not understand why certain things have not happened yet, but you can trust that He does. You can hold on to the promise, knowing that the timing is perfect, the provision is certain, and the outcome will be greater than you imagined. Finally, embracing the truth that delays are not denials shifts your heart from frustration to gratitude. It allows you to celebrate the small steps, the hidden growth, and the preparation that is taking place even while you wait. It reminds you that God is faithful, that His promises are sure, and that your season of fulfillment is coming. You may not know the exact day or the exact moment, but you can be confident that what has been delayed will be delivered. When you grasp this truth deeply, it changes everything about how you live, how you pray, and how you trust God in every season. Life has a way of testing us during seasons of waiting. When you are in a period where nothing seems to be moving, it's easy to feel frustrated, discouraged, or even forgotten. But the truth is, these seasons are not empty or meaningless. Every moment of waiting has a purpose. God is using these times to prepare you, to strengthen you, and to position you for what is coming. The waiting season is not wasted. It is a period of preparation. Preparation is not always comfortable. Often it comes with challenges, hardships, and lessons that push you out of your comfort zone. But it is in these very moments that God is shaping your character, refining your faith, and equipping you for the next chapter of your life. You may feel as if you are stuck, as if life is on pause, but the truth is that God is actively working behind the scenes. He is aligning circumstances, developing your skills, and building resilience so that when the doors of opportunity open, you will be ready to step through them with confidence and strength. Think of the example of Joseph. He was a young man with dreams and visions, yet he found himself betrayed, sold into slavery, and eventually imprisoned. From a human perspective, it seemed like life had failed him. But God was using every step of that journey to prepare Joseph for leadership. Every trial, every delay, every setback was teaching him patience, wisdom, and discernment. By the time Joseph stood before Pharaoh to interpret his dreams and ultimately save nations from famine, he was fully prepared for the responsibility and authority that God had intended for him. The preparation during his waiting period was essential. Without it, he would not have been ready to fulfill his calling. Preparation often involves learning lessons that cannot be taught in any other way. Sometimes it is learning patience, trusting God even when the outcome is unseen. Sometimes it is learning humility, acknowledging that you cannot control every situation and that God's plan is greater than your own. And sometimes it is learning resilience, growing through adversity so that you are strong enough to handle the weight of your future responsibilities. Every moment of preparation, no matter how difficult, is equipping you to walk into your destiny with wisdom, courage, and faith. It is also important to remember that preparation is not passive. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. It means using the time wisely to strengthen yourself, to grow in your faith, and to develop the skills and character needed for what is coming. You can study, practice, pray, serve, and invest in your personal growth. Every small step you take during this season of preparation matters. God honors the effort you put into readying yourself for the promises He has for you. The waiting period is an invitation to become more than you were yesterday, so that when the opportunity comes, you can step in fully equipped. Another aspect of preparation is perspective. When you understand that waiting is preparation, you see challenges and delays in a new light. What once felt like frustration now becomes training. What once felt like stagnation now becomes an opportunity for growth. Your faith is strengthened because you begin to trust that every detail of your life is being orchestrated by God. You learn to rely not on your own timing or understanding, but on God's wisdom and guidance. This perspective transforms your waiting from a season of despair into a season of empowerment. The waiting season also allows you to align with God's purpose. Sometimes we want things too quickly or before the right moment, and God's timing is perfect. Preparation ensures that when the breakthrough comes, it will be sustainable and effective. It ensures that you are not only ready for what God has promised, but also capable of handling it in a way that honors Him and fulfills His plan. Waiting prepares your heart, mind, and spirit so that you are not overwhelmed when your season of fulfillment arrives. Ultimately, reparation during waiting teaches you to trust God completely. It trains you to be patient, disciplined, and attentive to His voice. It reminds you that life is a journey and that the process matters as much as the outcome. The waiting is not wasted, it is sacred. It is the time when God is equipping you for greater responsibility, deeper understanding, and a more profound impact. When you embrace the season of preparation, you are no longer frustrated by delays. Instead, you recognize that every moment of waiting has been carefully designed to mold you into the person who can receive, steward, and maximize the blessings that are coming. You begin to see that what looks like waiting is actually God's hand at work, shaping, teaching, and preparing you for a future that exceeds your imagination. Faith is not passive. It is not simply believing that God exists or hoping that things will get better. True faith requires action. It is a belief so strong that it moves you to step forward, even when the path is unclear, even when the outcome is uncertain, and even when the world says it is impossible. Faith is not waiting for circumstances to change before you act. Faith is acting in alignment with God's promises while trusting that He will make a way. Many people remain stuck in seasons of waiting because they do not understand that faith demands movement. God has given you instructions, opportunities, and responsibilities to engage in, and your faith is expressed through the steps you take, however small they may seem. Consider the story of Abraham. God promised him a son, yet Abraham was already advanced in age, and Sarah's womb had been closed for years. On the surface, it seemed impossible. But Abraham's faith was not just in waiting or hoping. It was in acting upon God's promises. He obeyed God's instructions, trusted in His timing, and lived as though the promise were already on the way. Faith, in this way, is both trusting and doing. It is believing in the unseen while moving in obedience. The key is understanding that God does not always move first. Sometimes He asks you to take the step of faith that demonstrates your trust in Him. Faith requires action because it is through movement that God's power is activated in your life. If you have been praying for a breakthrough, but you refuse to step out in the direction of that breakthrough, you may delay what God has already promised. The door is there, but you must approach it. The opportunity is present, but you must reach for it. God honors faith that is expressed through action. Your actions, when guided by God's word and spirit, become a testimony of trust, a demonstration that you believe the promises are real, and a catalyst for miracles to unfold. It is also important to recognize that action fueled by faith does not mean reckless movement. Faith-driven action is intentional, aligned with God's principles, and rooted in obedience. It requires discernment and wisdom because faith without direction can lead to frustration. For example, if God calls you to a new opportunity, acting in faith might involve studying, preparing, and stepping forward courageously rather than rushing without guidance. The action itself becomes a partnership with God, a way of co-laboring with Him to see His promises come to life. Many times people delay their own blessings because they are waiting for the perfect conditions to move. They are waiting for certainty, for the right time, or for others to approve. But faith does not wait for certainty. Faith moves forward despite uncertainty. It says, I will trust God enough to step into what he has promised, even when I cannot see the full picture. When you act in faith, you are telling God and yourself that his word is true, that his promises are sure, and that his power is greater than your circumstances. Every action taken in faith positions you for breakthrough, opens doors that were previously closed, and creates opportunities that you might never have imagined. Action also strengthens faith. There is a unique confidence that comes from stepping out and seeing God's hand move. Each time you act in faith and witness even a small victory, your trust grows, your courage increases, and your perspective shifts. You begin to understand that faith is not just theoretical. It is practical, alive, and transformational. Waiting without action may strengthen patience, but faith without action cannot fully realize God's promises. It is in the doing that belief becomes tangible, that hope becomes reality, and that prayers begin to bear fruit. Even in the face of fear, doubt, or opposition, faith requires movement. It is easy to wait until conditions are perfect, but the essence of faith is moving when conditions are imperfect. It is stepping into God's calling, obeying his instructions, and pursuing his promises even when the outcome is not guaranteed. Every step you take in faith signals to heaven that you are ready, willing, and committed to partner with God. And as you act, God moves with you, providing guidance, opening doors, and orchestrating circumstances that make the impossible possible. Ultimately, faith requires action because God's promises are not passive. They demand participation. Waiting alone does not bring breakthroughs. Praying alone does not always activate doors. You must engage, step out, and move forward in alignment with God's will. Your actions demonstrate your trust, unlock your blessings, and bring the promises that have been delayed into reality. When you understand this, waiting seasons are no longer frustrating. They become periods of preparation for action. And every step you take, a declaration of trust that God is faithful to fulfill his word. Timing is one of the most powerful tools God uses in your life. Too often we grow impatient and try to force our plans before the appointed time. We look at others and wonder why we are still waiting while they seem to be moving ahead. We see doors closed and opportunities delayed, and we question whether God is really working. But the truth is, God's timing is perfect, and his timing always brings breakthrough. What may seem like a delay is actually preparation for a greater outcome. God is never early, never late, and never wrong. Every season has a purpose. And every moment of waiting positions you for a breakthrough that is aligned with his will. Think about the way nature works. Crops do not grow overnight. Rivers do not carve valleys in a day. Seasons must come and go. Water must nourish the soil, and sunlight must warm the earth. In the same way, God's timing allows the right conditions to be created for your breakthrough. If things came too soon, you might not be ready. If things came too late, opportunities could be missed. God orchestrates everything in perfect order so that when your breakthrough arrives, it is complete, sustainable, and fruitful. Every delay is intentional, designed to bring you to the place of readiness and alignment with his purpose. Consider the story of Joseph. He was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. From a human perspective, it appeared that God had abandoned him. Yet every delay, every injustice, and every setback was part of God's timing. When the time was right, Joseph was elevated to a position of authority that allowed him to save nations from famine. If his promotion had come too early, he would not have been equipped to handle the responsibility. God's timing ensured that every skill, lesson, and experience Joseph gained in weight. Ing prepared him for the breakthrough that would change his life and the lives of countless others. Breakthroughs in God's timing are often accompanied by alignment. Doors open at the right moment. People appear who can help, and circumstances shift to create the perfect environment for success. When you try to rush or force things, you miss the alignment that makes the breakthrough lasting and effective. God's timing brings not just a change in circumstances, but the right conditions that ensure the breakthrough is powerful and enduring. This is why patience is not just a virtue, it is a spiritual strategy. By waiting on God's timing, you allow Him to position everything perfectly so that the moment your breakthrough arrives, it is unmistakable, undeniable, and unstoppable. Another important aspect of God's timing is that it builds trust. Every moment of waiting teaches you to rely on Him, to trust that He sees the bigger picture, and to believe that His promises will come to pass. It is easy to trust God when things happen quickly, but faith is strengthened when you wait and see His perfect timing unfold. Delays test your patience, refine your character, and deepen your dependence on Him. Each delay is a reminder that God is at work even when you cannot see it. Your breakthrough will not be accidental, it will be intentional, timed perfectly by the Creator who knows the beginning and the end. God's timing also teaches us that breakthroughs are not always instant, but they are inevitable when aligned with His plan. What may have seemed impossible yesterday becomes possible today. What appeared blocked becomes open. What was delayed now arrives in fullness. This understanding removes frustration and replaces it with hope. It reassures you that your life is not stagnant. It is simply moving according to God's divine schedule. You are on a path that leads to victory, prosperity, and purpose, and every delay is a step toward that intended breakthrough. It is essential to recognize that breakthroughs are often bigger and better than we could have imagined. If we received things too early, we might not appreciate or handle the fullness of what God intended. Timing ensures that blessings come at a level that exceeds our expectations. By trusting God's timing, you are also trusting His wisdom to know what is best for you, even when it does not match your timeline or understanding. Ultimately, God's timing brings breakthroughs because it is rooted in His perfect knowledge, infinite wisdom, and unchanging love. Waiting is not a sign of neglect, but a sign of preparation. Every delay is a step toward a moment of victory that will honor Him and bless you abundantly. When you trust God's timing, you position yourself to receive the fullness of His promises. You are reminded that nothing is too late, nothing is impossible, and nothing can hinder the perfect plan God has prepared for your life. Stepping forward confidently is one of the most powerful acts of faith you can demonstrate. Many people wait for permission, perfect timing, or a clear sign before taking the next step. But God often calls us to move with courage, trusting that He will guide the way. Confidence in stepping forward is not about relying on your own strength or understanding. It is about trusting God's promises, His timing, and His power to make a way where there seems to be no way. Every step you take in faith, no matter how small, signals your readiness to receive the blessings that have been delayed and positions you for the breakthroughs God has prepared for you. Confidence comes from understanding your identity in God. You are not stepping into the unknown alone. You are stepping into a path that has already been ordained by a loving and all-knowing Creator. You grasp this truth, fear and hesitation lose their grip. You can move forward with boldness, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. The confidence to step forward is born out of trust, rooted in the knowledge that the same God who brought you this far will carry you through the next season. It is an assurance that the delays you have experienced were not denials, but preparation for the moment you are about to enter. Stepping forward confidently also requires releasing doubt. Doubt is the enemy of faith. It questions your worthiness, the timing of God, and even His promises. But when you step forward in confidence, you silence doubt with action. You choose to trust God even when the outcome is uncertain. You choose to obey His direction even when the path is not fully clear. You choose to believe that His promises are true. His timing is perfect and His plan is good. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite fear, trusting that God will make a way. It is also important to recognize that confidence is developed in preparation. You cannot step forward boldly if you have not been prepared in your heart, mind, and skills. The seasons of waiting, the trials you have endured, and the lessons you have learned are all part of building the courage and capability to move forward. Each experience, each delay, and each test equips you with the wisdom and strength necessary to navigate the next step successfully. Confidence is a byproduct of trusting that God's preparation has been sufficient and that you are ready for the breakthrough ahead. Stepping forward confidently often requires action in alignment with God's word. Faith without works is incomplete, and moving boldly in obedience demonstrates that your trust is real. God honors those who act with intentionality and courage. It may be applying for that opportunity, starting that project, reaching out to the right people, or speaking your truth. Each step taken in alignment with his promises is a declaration that you are ready to receive what he has prepared. Action combined with confidence activates God's favor and accelerates the fulfillment of his promises. Confidence also influences the atmosphere around you. When you move forward boldly, others take notice. Your faith becomes contagious. Your courage inspires, and your testimony begins even before the breakthrough manifests. God often uses confident action to position you for unexpected opportunities, to open doors that were previously hidden, and to attract the right people and resources to your life. Stepping forward confidently is not just a personal act. It affects your surroundings and creates momentum toward the blessings you have been waiting for. Sometimes stepping forward requires perseverance in the face of obstacles. The road may not be smooth, but confidence is not determined by the absence of challenges. It is determined by your willingness to trust God through every difficulty. Every step you take in faith, despite resistance or uncertainty, strengthens your resolve and demonstrates your commitment to God's plan. You move with assurance, knowing that the breakthrough is already on its way and that your confidence will be rewarded. Ultimately, stepping forward confidently is an expression of faith. It says, I believe in God's promises. I trust his timing. I know he has prepared me for this moment. It is the tangible response to a God who is faithful and never late. Every confident step brings you closer to the fulfillment of what has been delayed, transforming waiting into action, fear into courage, and hope into reality. When you step forward confidently, you claim the season of breakthrough, and you position yourself to walk fully into the future God has prepared for you. Trusting God beyond the delay is one of the most challenging yet most rewarding aspects of faith. When life doesn't move according to our timeline, it's natural to feel frustration, disappointment, or even doubt. We look at the closed doors, the unanswered prayers, and the opportunities that seem to pass us by, and we wonder if God is truly at work. But trusting God beyond the delay means holding on to his promises even when your circumstances seem to say otherwise. It is the decision to believe that what has been postponed is not forgotten, that what has been delayed is not denied, and that God's plan is still unfolding exactly as it should. Trust begins with remembering who God is. He is faithful, unchanging, and all-knowing. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end of every situation in your life. While you may feel stuck in a season of waiting, God is orchestrating everything with precision. When you trust him beyond the delay, you acknowledge that he has a bigger perspective than you do. You recognize that the things that are taking longer than expected are not mistakes or oversights, but deliberate steps in a plan designed to bring about the best outcome. Trusting God does not mean that you understand the timing or the process. It means that you believe his wisdom and his love are greater than your own understanding. Faith that persists beyond the delay is tested and strengthened through perseverance. Each day of waiting is an opportunity to grow in patience and resilience. You learn to lean on God for guidance, to seek his presence for comfort, and to rely on his word for encouragement. Delays can feel discouraging, but they also teach lessons that no instant success could provide. You discover your own strength, deepen your character, and learn to depend on God in ways that will sustain you when the breakthrough finally comes. Trusting beyond the delay is not passive waiting. It is active, intentional reliance on God's promises and power. One of the most important aspects of trusting God beyond the delay is resisting the temptation to compare your journey to others. It's easy to look around and see people who seem to have everything moving ahead smoothly and wonder why your life is on hold. But God's plan is unique for each person. Your timing, your path, and your purpose are specific to you. Comparison only breeds doubt and discouragement. When you trust God, you focus on your own journey, on the growth He is cultivating within you, and on the faithfulness that is being revealed, even if the results are not yet visible. Trusting God also requires surrendering control. One of the reasons delays can feel frustrating is because we want to force outcomes, to make things happen according to our plans, and to take control of circumstances. But God's ways are higher than our ways, and His plans are perfect. To trust beyond the delay means to release the need to control the timeline, the method, and the details. It means saying, God, I may not understand why this is taking so long, but I trust you to do what is best at the right time. This surrender opens the door for peace, even in uncertainty, and allows God to work without interference. Another critical component of trusting God beyond the delay is faithfulness in the present. It is easy to become discouraged and stop moving, to neglect responsibilities, or to abandon your purpose while waiting for the breakthrough. But God honors those who remain faithful, diligent, and obedient in the waiting season. Every act of faithfulness, no matter how small, demonstrates trust and positions you for the blessings that are coming. Your consistency during the delay proves that you are ready for what God has prepared. Ultimately, trusting God beyond the delay transforms your perspective. You begin to see delays not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth, preparation, and alignment with His perfect plan. You realize that what has been postponed is not lost, and that the timing of God ensures that the breakthrough will be complete, lasting, and far greater than you imagined. By trusting Him, you release fear, cultivate hope, and position yourself to step boldly into the fulfillment of His promises. Trust beyond the delay is not just a mindset, it is a declaration of faith that says, I believe that God's timing is perfect, and I will wait with confidence for the moment He has prepared. Walking in expectation of God's move is a powerful way to live during seasons of delay. Too often, people experience delays and respond with doubt, discouragement, or inactivity. They wait passively, hoping that at some point things will change. But walking in expectation is different. It is a mindset, a posture, and a lifestyle that says, I know God is at work and I am ready to receive what He has promised. Expectation is not wishful thinking. It is confident anticipation rooted in faith and trust in God's power, His promises, and His perfect timing. When you walk in expectation, you approach each day with hope and purpose. You wake up with the knowledge that God is moving in your life, even if you cannot yet see the results. This expectation keeps your faith alive and your vision clear. It allows you to notice opportunities, recognize divine appointments, and respond when God's provision arrives. Those who live with expectation do not wait for life to happen to them. They position themselves to participate in the movement of God. Every action, every decision, and every step becomes aligned with the belief that breakthrough is imminent. Expectation requires trust in God's faithfulness. It is easy to become disheartened when seasons of waiting are long or challenging. But living with expectation is a conscious choice to focus on God's character rather than your circumstances. It is a declaration that His promises are true, His timing is perfect, and His power is sufficient to accomplish what He has spoken over your life. Expectation allows you to see delays not as obstacles, but as part of God's plan to bring about a greater, more meaningful outcome. Walking in expectation also fuels action. When you expect God to move, you are motivated to prepare, to serve, and to step into opportunities that align with His plan. Expectation is not passive, it creates readiness. You begin to move in alignment with God's word, to take steps of faith, and to pursue your calling with energy and purpose. Every act of obedience, no matter how small, is strengthened by the expectation that God will meet you at the right time. You begin to recognize that your actions are part of a divine partnership, co-laboring with God to bring his promises to fruition. Living in expectation also protects your heart and mind from discouragement. When you expect God to move, you do not allow temporary setbacks or delays to define your outlook. You understand that disappointment is not the end of the story, and that every closed door is simply a step toward a better, divinely orchestrated opportunity. Expectation gives you courage to keep going, confidence to remain faithful, and joy to celebrate the unseen victories along the way. It reminds you that God's plans are greater than your own and that he is orchestrating everything for your good. Another vital aspect of walking in expectation is the development of spiritual sensitivity. Those
Loving you alone feels so beautiful, and yet it hurts the most. You became my quiet sunrise, the dream I never dared to say. Every smile you gave so freely took my breath a little away. I held this love like fragile glass, so precious, soft and true. But every beat inside my heart was only reaching out to you. Unspoken love is sweet and painful, like honey mixed with rain. A tender hope I hold so tightly, while it slowly breaks me. Loving you from just one side now leaves my soul in silent blue. 'Cause the deeper that I fall alone, the lonelier I do. I can't blame my heart for choosing someone it could never keep. So I smile through hidden heartache and love you quietly. Unspoken love is sweet and painful, like honey mixed with rain. A tender hope I hold so tightly, while it slowly breaks me. Loving you from just one side now leaves my soul in silent blue. 'Cause the deeper that I fall alone, the lonelier I do. Maybe loving you in silence is the closest I can stay, though it leaves behind a sorrow that may never fade away. Unspoken love is sweet and painful, like honey mixed with rain. A tender hope I hold so tightly, while it slowly breaks me. Loving you from just one side now leaves my soul in silent blue. 'Cause the deeper that I fall alone, the lower